All right, so I finally saw the drama, and let me just start this off by saying, lives up to the name, okay? Because drama, yes, very much so. I was pleasantly surprised with the way that this movie builds tension with the characters, and it got kind of crazy. This movie is very like intense. It's also very intimate. Like you feel like you are in every moment with the two main characters. I feel like you feel like you're there, like you're a part of the scene. Especially a particular scene I want to get into later. But basically, this movie is about a couple played by Zendaya and Robert Pattinson. Zendaya's character's name is Emma, and Pattinson's name is Charlie. So Emma and Charlie they meet in a very cute, beautiful, romantic situation. Well, it's kind of creepy a little bit actually, but it's funny. So that's what they're going with, and it starts off as like Charlie's telling he's telling the story of how they met through he's trying to write a speech because they're about to get married. So they're about to get married, right? And drama ensues. Okay, now I'm just gonna leave the spoiler free part right there because I gotta jump into this now. But before I do that, yes, the drama does ensue for sure because the situation that they create for this is very, I wouldn't say this, it's very uncomfortable. And then I think the movie comes to a great boiling point at the end. I like the direction that it goes, finally, for the climax and everything like that. So, yeah. I obviously enjoyed this a lot. So, like, way more than I thought I was going to. Like, I initially was like, it looks kind of boring. I'm not sure I'm going to see it, and I'm glad I did. If you're thinking about seeing the drama, at all, and if your girl is thinking about seeing it, take her, please, because this movie not only is it very dramatic, but it's funny too. It's actually really funny, for reasons that a lot of couples would understand, I think. So yeah. All right, now I'm gonna jump into the spoilers for the drama. Okay, Emma and Charlie have two friends, Rachel and Mike, okay? And then, so the scene that I was talking about earlier takes place when they are doing they're doing all those things where they're like, tasting food for their wedding and figuring out what they're gonna have on the menu and stuff like that, right? So they're sitting at the table for the venue that they're going to have their wedding at in a few days, and they're having conversation, and they get a little bit tipsy. Emma, Zendaya's character, gets a little bit too drunk, and so they go around, the conversation gets to the fact that they go around the table talking about the worst thing they've ever done. And this is where the drama ensues. And the way that the tension builds in this scene is great because I'm thinking, okay, because her friend goes first. And I'm honestly thinking so Mike goes first. The guy friend, okay? Mike and Rachel are a couple. They're their couple friend. And then Rachel goes. And what Rachel says is worse than what Mike says, in my opinion. What Rachel did was the worst of all the things, because she actually did hers. Now, I don't know. So I'm thinking, okay, this is gonna get worse and worse until we get to Charlie's character, and Zendaya's gonna hate Charlie, or something. Maybe that's what it is. That's the drama, right? Right before their wedding. No, okay. So Mike says he used one of his exes, as a human shield when they got attacked by a dog and she got bit by the dog. Like, yeah, that's pretty bad. Okay. Especially like from the standpoint of a man, like that's pretty bad to do. Okay. When Charlie goes, he says that he doesn't really know if he's done anything super, super bad. He can't really come up with anything. So he's like, well, I cyberbullied a kid once and his family moved. And maybe his family moving maybe that was the reason for his family moving. Maybe it wasn't. So Charlie's just kind of like, okay, whatever. They kind of skip him. When Rachel goes, she says, there was a mentally disabled child that lived in her neighborhood or something. And he found like a trailer or something deep in the woods by their neighborhood. So he gets her to follow him to the trailer. And she's like, I don't know, maybe I was just bored this day. So she you know what? He's not outright mentally disabled, but she says that he was slow or something. So she follows this kid out to the trailer, and it's like the grossest trailer. And there's like, I guess she said used condoms and stuff like everywhere. Like it's just the worst trailer you could think of in the middle of the woods in nowhere, right? And so she sees this empty closet in there, and she convinces the kid to walk into the closet, and then she locks the kid in the closet, mind you. Kid's like 10 maybe or something. No, like 8. She locks the kid in the closet, and he starts freaking out, like understandably, right? Freaking out. And so she just leaves him there. Just leaves him in a trailer, abandoned trailer closet in the middle of the woods. Okay, and then the next day she claims by the end of her story, she's like, he was fine, they found him, you know. She claims, at first they were like, okay, like what happened to the kid? Like, she claims they did a search party and then they ended up finding the kid. She claims, all right? When you're telling people the worst thing you've ever done, right, they're supposed to be being honest with these stories, but how much of the story do you omit? How much of the story is true, right, is what I'm thinking. I feel like the most honest character was Zendaya's character, because after what she says, she goes through the whole movie explaining what happened, basically. So when it's Zendaya's turn, she says, basically, when she was 15, when she was younger, she once planned and got very close to committing a school shooting, which is obviously very bad. Okay? She didn't do it, but she planned a school shooting, like a mass shooting, and got very close to doing it. Like to the point of like taking her dad's gun to school and like knowing who she wanted to kill first and all this stuff. And as she goes through the movie, she explains that she made a bunch of videos and, you know, she felt really remorseful and obviously she felt sorry about it. So the reason she didn't go through with it is because days before, or like the day of, there was another mass shooting near their school. And so obviously the kids hear about it. And then one of the kids in the school died in that mass shooting. It was at the mall. So she decides not to go through with it. Now, does she not go through with it because she didn't want the other mass shooting to overshadow hers? Like, she wanted the attention? Like, did she see how the mass shooting affected all the students and everyone around her, and she changed her ways? Because, I mean, she did end up making a group of friends out of that situation. And then she joined, like, they started a anti-gun anti-gun group and all that stuff. Like, she became an advocate for gun control and all this stuff, right? Like, through her high school years, through her middle school years. So obviously the drama ensues, right? So Rachel, the other friend, Rachel goes out of the way to be like, my cousin is disabled because she's in a wheelchair, her cousin. My cousin is disabled because of a school shooting. And she starts going off like, and I say it that way. I know that's bad. But I say it that way because it almost feels like she's using it as a reason to be upset about something. Like she goes through the whole movie, like now, because she's supposed to be like her maid of honor. And she's like, I'm not doing that. I'm not going to the wedding. And Charlie, Robert Pattinson's character, spends most of the movie doubting whether he wants to marry Zendaya or not now. Because he's like, you're a psychopath. They're like, you're a psychopath. And she's like, well, you know, I was 15 and like I was going through a lot of things and I didn't have any friends, and she got obsessed with like the culture of it and like making videos, and like she just kind of got into guns a little bit. And then she was like, yeah, you suck. Like she was getting bullied a little bit. She's like, you suck. I'm going to kill you guys. Right. So it's like, and then obviously like she's a different person now. So the movie kind of shows that growth. It's like about people growing, you know, and how and what, and then with these characters, it's like, what are you willing to forgive? Like, what can you forgive? Because they even asked Rachel, they're like, well, what if that kid had died? Or what if they hadn't found the kid? Were you going to say anything? And Rachel's like, yeah, of course I would have said something. But would she have said something? Because she was like, I didn't want to get in trouble and so I didn't tell anybody, and it never came back to me. It never came back to you? You mean to tell me the kid didn't say that you and him went to the trailer together and you locked him in the closet? Because I'm definitely snitching on you at 8, 9 years old. So is Rachel telling the truth? Like, maybe that kid died and she's omitting that part of the story. I don't know. Because it's like, how much are you willing to lie to make it seem like you're not that bad of a person? Because like, even it gets to a point where Charlie is even like kind of protecting Emma's character at a point. He's like telling some of the story. He's like telling them. He goes back to Rachel and Mike, and he's like, "Well, we talked about it." And Rachel's like, "Talked about it? What does that mean?" And he's like, "Well, she was going through a lot of things, and her friend, someone in Zendaya's neighborhood died when she was a kid, like in a car crash." And he's like, "Didn't someone die?" He's like trying to psychoanalyze her. He's like trying to figure out why she would even think about doing a school shooting, right? And he's like, "Didn't someone die, one of your friends, when you were younger?" She's like, "Yeah, well, we weren't really that close." And like, he's like, "Yeah, but you witnessed it. It was traumatic, right?" And she's like, "No, I didn't witness anything. Like, I just heard about her dying. Like, it wasn't, she's like, "I don't think they correlate." And he's like, "What do you mean they don't correlate?" Right? He's like trying to find reasons to defend her. And so when he goes back to Rachel and Mike, he lies for her. He's like, "Yeah, she witnessed this crash. She saw her best friend." Basically, he's like, "She saw her best friend die in a car crash." And then Mike's like, "Yeah, that's traumatic, right, Rachel?" And she's like, basically they come around to it. So they go to the wedding, all right? So basically Robert Pattinson's character is like devolving. He is like just becoming slowly unhinged throughout the whole movie because he's the type of person to fixate on small things. And now finding out that your significant other and your fiance almost became a mass murderer, like was this close to being a mass murderer, is a little bit more, it's kind of a big deal. So Charlie is freaking out, and then like literally like the day before their wedding, he is freaking out in the office, and he's asking his assistant basically like, "What would you do if you found out that your boyfriend planned a school shooting?" Blah blah blah. He's like trying to play it off or whatever, and then he's like freaking out, and she's like, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" Right? So literally the day before his wedding, he kisses his assistant, and he gets ready to, he doesn't. He backs out. He's like, "I can't believe I'm doing this. I don't know why I did this." Blah 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 blah. Which also goes to do you think this is the first time Charlie has done something like that? Because he claims like, "Oh, I haven't done anything that bad. I cyberbullied a kid once, and maybe it was or not related to him leaving the neighborhood, right, or moving to a new school." So is he being honest? Is anyone else being that honest about the worst thing they've ever done, right? So, because even when he's talking to his assistant, he's like, "What's the worst thing you've ever done?" And she's like, "Well, I cheated, like with a boyfriend that I lived with for 2 years or whatever. And he was nice to me, and I cheated with a guy who treated me like crap." And so he's like, "Yeah, that's the worst thing you've ever done?" She's like, "Well, is cheating not bad enough?" And he's like, "Well, yeah, it is, but so like, is this his first time? I don't know. Is he being honest? I don't know, right?" That's the other thing too. It's kind of about that like vulnerability and honesty, and like how much are you willing to open up, and when someone does open up to you, what are you willing to forgive, or what are you willing to accept in that person? But anyways, so that happens, and then his assistant comes to the wedding with her big boyfriend, right? And so they get to the wedding, and people are talking and gossiping, and Rachel is just being a straight up ITCH, because she is not happy about the whole school shooting thing, and she's like saying, she thinks that she's crazy, right? And so people are talking and gossiping, and Robert Pattinson falls apart during his speech, which is where this movie started. So that's kind of funny, because it started with him going through what happened and giving the speech and going over it with his best man Mike, and so he falls apart during the speech. The speech does not work out. And he's just like, "Stop gossiping. She didn't do anything. Blah, 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 blah," right? And she's just like freaking out, because by this point, Zendaya has already found out that yesterday, before their wedding, this is at the wedding, he was kissing on Misha, his assistant, right? And so she's already just like, I can't. I'm done. So now he's like feeling super, super guilty about that, right? Even though she's been spending the whole time feeling guilty and telling him why she planned the school shooting and all this stuff, right? Like, and so he breaks down, and that whole thing comes out, and then Misha's boyfriend, the big dude, he's like, "You what?" So he gets up and basically, they don't show it, but beats up Robert Pattinson on Dave's wedding, right? And then they leave, and then he goes to the diner, because they talk about doing the thing like people do with the Oscars, like Michael B. Jordan recently did, where he went to the burger spot after the Oscars, right? And so she's like, before when they're planning the wedding, she's like, oh, we could go to the diner, you know how people do and they're dressing fancy and they do it at the Oscars or whatever. And he's like, I don't know, maybe, right? And so basically at the end, he's like, I can't find her. She just left. She went with her parents, blah, blah, blah. And then he goes to the diner. He's like, bump this. He goes to the diner, just bloody face, all beat up. Not bloody, but he's all beat up and bruised. And then she walks into the diner and they do like a cute little like restart, like, hi, my name is Emma, hi, my name is Charlie, and blah blah blah, and they hold hands, and then that's kind of the end of it. It was a chaotic but beautiful story, I thought. Of course, Zendaya, you got Zendaya and Robert Pattinson, so come on, man. But yeah, I enjoyed this movie a lot. Like I said, if you're thinking about seeing it, go see it for sure. It was funny. It was weird. It was like edge of your seat drama. Honestly, I was just like, what is about to happen? I would put it on the watch list for sure. Okay, have fun and keep enjoying things.